You noble diggers, all stand up now.
Welcome, comrade. Never forget the forms.
Hello my friends and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to argue against standard anti-communist arguments that you may come across. First though, the principles, the forms. Argumentation is a very good faith effort. It is a dance between you and your partner. You are trying to arrive at the truth. You must be willing to accede any point. There's nothing sacred if you are entering into argumentation. You are willing to drop any conviction, any belief, if you get a good enough argument. So I've ended up here with all these beliefs that are antithetical to my personal interests, but these principles hang over me, so we have to keep pushing on. But anyways, the point of saying that is you only give good faith argument to someone who's earned it. Most people have not. Most people don't even have the ability to. When you see chuds online spewing standard arguments that you've seen a million times, don't engage. You can bully them, that's fun. Kayfabe is the best path. WWE style extravaganza. I'm coming for you, brother. But insult them. If they're not going to play the rules right, then there's no rules. That's the way it is. But should you find someone who might be good faith, I had an uncle like this who I thought might be convertible. Not. They are receptive to the arguments, but their programming goes deep, so they probably can't do it. But still, if you find someone that you find that you must, debate because you think that they can be redeemed and that they can believe about the right things about society and government and progress. But here are some arguments that you may run into and how to fight them. The first one, the one that you'll run into the most, is the no true Scotsman accusation. That which revolution did you like the most? And all commies will always say that that wasn't true communism, and that and excuse away the deaths. The standard reply to that is a misapprehension, a misunderstanding of what they say that the communists say that they set up to do or set out to do. When you arrive at executive power over the current capitalist governments of the world, you don't immediately, there's no switch, there's no light switch, there's no button that says socialism now. You have to work towards it. There's a debate between communists and anarchists how to get to communism, and the anarchists seem to think that just overthrowing power will do that, but power will reassert itself through its unofficial chains of command, and so socialism must be used as a bridge over the gap between here and communism. So the no true Scotsman accusation is a complete misunderstanding. No one has ever done communism. There's not one communist government out there. There are communist parties that are socialist governments and use state capitalism to achieve those goals. That's what they say they do. But having said that they don't understand, you have to then double down and be like, but to reply to the point, more directly, I accept all revolutions that were run by communists, all of them. China, Cuba, there's not one that I disavow. The only one that I'll disavow, and this is, you got to give them something, keep them on the line. Cambodia. Cambodia is the one to go to because you can blame that on the Americans very fairly. That the CIA did that. They put Pol Pot in charge, and Pol Pot was fucking crazy, and had a terrible, terrible plan for returning them to primitive agriculture. Uh, they were liberated by other communists, the Vietnamese. And the Vietnamese are the ones to point to if you're going to point towards a successful revolution. Because someone's arguing with you, especially a man, they don't really care about the progress and the benefits for society. They're stupid. They're a hog. They have levers that you can pull on. And the one to pull on easiest is their fight instinct, their compete instinct. And you say, Vietnam went toe to toe with three world powers and beat them all: France, America, and China. Bang, bang, bang. 3-0. Communist government. The next argument that you'll run into that they'll throw at you is the state violence or mass murderer accusation. Governance is violence. All of governance is double bookkeeping, double entry accounting written in blood. Every line of it kills somebody. Capitalism kills more. That's what you do with this argument. Capitalism kills 20 million people every year and has killed 20 million people every year since the 90s. The body count between communism and capitalism are not even close and not comparable at all. And the Great Leap Forward and the Holodomor, which are the ones that I feel are the weakest defensive positions, but still defensible, still definitely have justification and excuse in reverse order. The Holodomor is not a genocide. There is no serious scholar, none, not one, who's like not a Nazi or hasn't been revealed to be a Nazi, that thinks the Holodomor was a genocide. And a genocide means an intent to wipe out a people in whole or in part. There was no intent to do that. There was a famine and there was a campaign to make upper middle class people suffer for the famine that they helped contribute to. I support that. I just support people burning crops, starving. And if you don't, I'm sorry, you're not human to me. The Great Leap Forward is always overstated. And that sounds like Holocaust denialism now that I hear it aloud, but it's there. It was a famine, and it was. You look at it on the graphs of all any kind of indicia of the Chinese economy and growth in that time, and they're on like a complete vertical line up because of Mao's policies, and there's like a hiccup in the early 70s where they do a step and then they're back up on the direct line up. Oh, they didn't perfectly lift out 1 billion people out of poverty and create, mega cities out of mud flats. What standard are you holding the Chinese to, right? And you should say, what is the number of deaths that Imperial China would have allowed to suffer every year due to medical neglect or food insecurity? And when would that have passed the Great Leap Forward, say, if the Kuomintang had won the Civil War, if there was a capitalist government in charge, a nationalist government in charge of China? It would have passed it easily by the 80s, I think. If not the 80s, then the 90s, and if not the 90s, then the early aughts. That the negligence, the neglect, the poor governance model of the nationalists would have led to something more akin to like India today. The final argument that you'll get is that communists are just liars and that they just want to own everything, and that under communism, the government owns everything. I think this is the most misguided of the arguments. What do you, the interlocutor, really know about property rights? You're me. The interlocutor is imaginative. The property rights in the world are complicated. They are long speeches meant to mollify peasants. For instance, in the West, in the Anglophone world, the property that anyone that you know has is called fee simple absolute. And what they tout about fee simple absolute is that it has the least encumbrance of any uh, instrument or document giving uh, property, giving claim to the land. But fee simple absolute is not absolute, and it is not simple, and it does involve fees usually, though. Um, the government can take that land for basically any reason. They have to uh, compensate you, but they can eminent domain. They can say there's extraction rights under the land necessary for the state. The airspace above your land is not fee simple absolute as it was in the 1800s. The land underneath your property is not fee simple absolute as it was in the 1700s. The case law is developed. The rights to your property are basically no different than they are in France or China or Japan. They're all very similar. Um, what is different is who has property. The home ownership of a 30-year-old in America has dropped below 20%. That is a major red flashing warning. But in China, the home ownership is over 90% at 30 years old. They own their place. Now, the West, the America and England would say that because of the encumbrances on that claim to the title, which means that the ownership is not as complete as fee simple absolute, that there are rights that the government has to the property. Think about it like this. You own a store, there's a sidewalk in front of the store. That's your sidewalk. It's your responsibility to take care of the sidewalk. But everyone in public has a property interest in the sidewalk as well. They have an easement. They can just walk at and cross it. They don't need your permission. The same as with the Chinese government coming in or surveilling you or something like that. So your rights to property are your use and enjoyment of it, but you don't have the right to be you know completely private and free to plot rebellion of any kind. They're a government. They govern. Yeah. So those are three standard arguments that you're going to run into, and how to fight them, how to argue against them. But again, those are when you've made sure already, when you can taste that the opponent wants to learn something. If you feel that they're a bull in the china shop, especially if they're middle-aged, meaning 30 or older man, they don't want to learn anything. Their time of learning has passed. And the best way to get them to be open to learning something is to embarrass them, right? Walk up and rhetorically kick their kneecap in and fucking bellow and beat your chest over their defeated body. You're there to win, right? We're not here to make friends if we're arguing. Um, there's a story that I love and I bring up in argumentation all the time. After Shaquille O'Neal dunked on Michael Jordan, this is an apocryphal story. I don't think it happened. Um, Shaquille O'Neal bends over to help Michael Jordan up, and that made Michael Jordan very angry. Not being dunked on, but being offered help up. And the line that Michael said to Shaq uh, for why that made him angry sticks with me. If you want to show me respect, you'll give me none. If I engage you as an equal, then we're here for blood. We're here to fight. Uh, but if I'm treating you like kayfabe, and I'm just, give him the chair, That's not me treating you like an equal. Right? That's me treating you like an uninformed or uneducated inferior. When you go to fight somebody, it's like it's a ritual combat. It's ancient, and arguing is combat. You're allowed to insult each other. You're allowed to really go in on one another, and to bring up the fallacies, you really got to know what you're talking about. Like if someone said an ad hominem after I've insulted them, but I've made an argument first, anyone who really knows argumentation would disrespect that person who brings up ad hominem very deeply. It is a very sacralized and ritualized combat to engage in argument. And if your opponent doesn't want to give that any respect, your sacred ground that you've set out, show them none in kind. Oh, you uneducated moron. Of course you think that. You don't read books. I remember thinking that around 12. Just lay into them. Do not engage with anybody who doesn't show you that they are willing to engage. Thank you. Have a nice day. Hello, you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you. This channel has one mission: to prevent civilizational collapse associated with climate change, to prevent 100 million refugees by 2035, to stop 7 billion from starving to death by 2075. And we will do this through one main vehicle. We mean to unite the Anglosphere. We will do this by convincing the Commonwealth of His Majesty King Charles III to apply for statehood as one. And then with this new power, we will be able to negotiate in good faith with the rest of the world on how to tackle this crisis. Thank you and enjoy.